Arsenal have done it again. Another left-footed magician coming out of Hale End. If you follow youth football, you've probably already heard the name, Max Dowman. And if you haven't, well, you will soon enough.
Max Dowman. Don't forget that name, guys. Max Dowman.
Max isn't just another prospect coming through the ranks at Arsenal. He's a once-in-a-generation kind of player.
He's up there, the best young talents I've ever seen in the country.
The type of player that makes you tune into preseason games.
If you look him from far and you don't know that he's 15 and you see certain things that he does.
At just 15 years old, he's already being called the best in his age group. Not just in London, not just in England, but the entire world. But what makes him so special? Let's start with his breakout stretch. At the end of the 2024-2025 season, Max went on a tear. In just 7 games for Arsenal's U18 side, he scored 14 goals, bagged 2 hat-tricks, and picked up 3 assists. These weren't just Ronaldo-esque tap-ins either. We're talking about solo runs from deep, curling finishes from outside the box, dribbling past entire defenses. Pure magic. With every game, he looked more confident, more dominant. And that's when the nickname began, the Kaká regen. Like Kaká, Max glides when he runs, slicing through defenses with these long, graceful strides and sharp changes in direction. He can pick up the ball near the halfway line and drive at the defenders and beat multiple players at once. Even though he's young, he doesn't shy away from contact either. Whether he's shrugging off a challenge or drawing a foul, he always finds a way to keep the play moving in Arsenal's favor. It's this blend of technical quality, vision, and fearlessness that sets him apart. The guy was controlling games before he had even hit puberty. And here's the scary part. He was doing it against players that were way older than him. Max Dowman is technically a schoolboy. Born in 2009, he should be playing under 15s football. But at Arsenal, he's already starring in the under 18s and making appearances for the under 21s. The club fast-tracked his development because, frankly, they didn't have a choice. He kept standing out. By the time he was 14, he had already broken multiple records, including becoming the youngest ever goal scorer in the UEFA Youth League. Max began training regularly with Arsenal's first team midway through the 2024-2025 season. That's pretty much unheard of for a 14-year-old. And he didn't just show up to make up the numbers. According to Mikel Arteta and others within the club, he was holding his own. That momentum nearly led to a historic moment, Max Dowman becoming the youngest ever player to debut in the Premier League. But the league stepped in and blocked it due to age restrictions. A frustrating technicality, but maybe a blessing in disguise. After all, debuting a 14-year-old in a league as physically intense as the Premier League is unheard of. But the fact that Arsenal were even considering it says everything you need to know about how they view Max. His journey through Arsenal's academy has been both exciting and historic. He first made headlines in September of 2023 when he came off the bench to play the final 22 minutes of an under-18 Premier League match against Southampton. The score was already 4-0, but nobody remembers the result. They remember Max. Why? Because he was only 13 years old, and yet here he was, wearing the Arsenal badge, sharing the pitch with players 4 or 5 years older than him. That appearance made Max the youngest player ever to feature in an under-18s Premier League game. And from that moment on, whispers began around his name. It would be another 6 months before he got his first start. This time he was playing in the number 10 role, right behind the striker, and he really made the position his own. He didn't just look comfortable out there, he looked in complete control. His dribbling drew a foul in the box, winning a penalty that his teammate Chido Obi converted. Max then nearly scored again moments later, dancing past defenders inside the box. Obi, being a typical striker, pinched the ball right before Max could tap it in, adding another goal to his own tally. But that moment showed Max's magic. By the end of that 5-2 win, Max had contributed to every goal, either winning the penalty, assisting, or helping create the move. At just 14 years old, he was already running the show. Then came his first goal for the under-18s. It was against West Brom in a match that ended 2-2, and what a goal it was. He faked the shot, sent the defender sliding the wrong way, and then calmly finessed the ball into the top right corner. Even the keeper didn't move. It was that clean. That goal looked like something you'd expect from a player who had been playing for years at the top level, not a teenager still in school. By the end of that stretch, Max had made 4 more appearances, adding another goal and 2 assists. But more than just the stats, it was his presence that stood out. Coaches and fans started to see him as not just a young prospect, but as a future leader in the making. Then came a turning point. Arsenal were having issues with their star academy striker, Obi, who had gone viral for scoring 10 goals in a single match. He was refusing to sign a professional contract and soon left the club. Suddenly, the spotlight turned to Max. With Obi gone, someone had to take the crown, and Max didn't hesitate to step up. To start the 2024-2025 season, he was now a full-time starter for the under-18s. This was a huge jump. He was still technically an under-15 player, yet he was easily the best player on the pitch. His early performances were solid, 2 assists in his first 5 league games. But it was in the UEFA Youth League where Max really made a statement. In September, Max scored against Atalanta and made history again, becoming the youngest goal scorer in UEFA Youth League history at just 14 years, 8 months, and 19 days old. It wasn't a fluke goal either. Max found space in the box, got on the end of a cross, and calmly slotted it home with a level of composure that left people stunned. By now, Max was used to making history, but he didn't let it get to his head. Every time he broke a record, he just trained harder. And that hunger is what really separates him from others. That and the fact that he was still balancing school while making defenders 3 years older than him look silly. From becoming the youngest debutant to starring in high-level European youth matches, Max Dowman had shown that age was just a number. Just don't let Diddy hear that. By November of 2024, Arsenal's coaches had seen enough. Max was no longer just a standout in the under-18s. He was ready for bigger challenges. And that's when he started training regularly with the first team. At just 14 years old, Max found himself on the same pitch as veterans. But he didn't even look out of place. In fact, it was the opposite. He really impressed. His touches were clean, his dribbling was sharp, and his decision making showed maturity way beyond his years. Every session, he kept proving that he belonged at the top level. The next big step came on December 1st, 2024. Arsenal's under-21s were playing Brighton in a Premier League 2 match at home. With the game nearing its end, Max was subbed on, making his under-21 debut at just 14 years and 11 months old. He only played 6 minutes, but the moment wasn't easy. Just minutes after he came on, he was welcomed by a rough challenge. The tackle was so bad that it led to a red card, a tough introduction to under-21 football. But Max didn't back down. He got back up and kept going, showing that the physicality wouldn't scare him. Then came the winter break. In February of 2025, the Arsenal first team headed off to Dubai for their annual training camp. These camps are meant to reset the squad for the final stretch of the season and the year. Max was a part of the traveling group. Alongside a few under-21s, he trained every day with the senior team, soaking up the experience, and as a result, he came back a different player. Something had just clicked. That time around, professionals really sharpened his skills, and he returned to England with even more confidence and composure. Let's just hope he didn't learn anything about spray tanning from Ben White. Then came his big moment, February 28th, 2025. Arsenal vs Manchester United in the FA Youth Cup quarterfinals at the Emirates Stadium. Over 7,000 fans were in attendance, and the match was actually being broadcasted live. The perfect setting for Max to announce himself, and he did. In the second half, with United pressing high, Max picked up the ball inside his own half. 3 defenders closed in, but he didn't panic. He took off, gliding past one challenge, sidestepping another, and then pushing forward with his signature solo run. By the time he reached the box, he was taken down. Penalty. Max stepped up and tucked it away. Arsenal sadly eventually lost the game in extra time, but everyone was talking about Max Dowman. His incredible run and overall performance were the standout story of the night. The very next month, Max was handed the captain's armband for the under-18s after the usual captain, Willu, moved up to the under-21s. At 15 years old, Max was now leading a team, and he took that responsibility personally, because in March, he exploded. He scored the match winner versus Fulham to secure a 2-1 win. Just 4 days later, he scored a hat-trick and provided an assist in a 5-3 win away at Leicester. 2 of those goals were classic Max Dowman, picking up the ball from halfway, solo running past the defense, and finishing it with composure. Then came the Norwich game. Max scored 2 penalties as Arsenal won 3-1. A week later against Reading, Max went crazy again, scoring all 4 goals in a 4-0 win. The first goal was honestly crazy. Deep in his own box, he tricked a Reading player with a quick move, held off 2 more, and then smashed it in from outside the area. In the North London derby that followed, he scored again, curling it a rocket from long range as the game ended in a draw. Even when Arsenal lost their next match away to Fulham, Max still walked off the pitch with a goal and an assist. By the time the under-18 season ended, it was clear. Max Dowman wasn't just another academy kid. He was Arsenal's future. The boy who used to watch games at the Emirates was now dominating them, and he had done it all before even turning 16. Just when it seemed like he couldn't impress people anymore, he took his game to the next level, to the international stage. In May of 2025, Max was selected for England's under-17 squad for the UEFA Under-17 European Championship. Now remember, Max was only 15 years old at the time. Almost every other player in the tournament was 2 years older. But when you're as good as he is, age becomes irrelevant. England were drawn in a tough group, facing Belgium, Italy, and Czech Republic. These are good teams with strong academies, but none of them had a player quite like Max. The tournament kicked off with a clash against Belgium, and from the opening minute, Max made his presence felt. Playing on the right flank, he kept cutting inside, twisting defenders defenders like a pretzel with his quick feet and sharp turn. Early in the first half, he nearly opened the scoring, forcing a save from the Belgian keeper after dancing past 2 players. Belgium just couldn't contain him. They had to keep fouling him just to slow him down. The match ended 1-1, but Max had made his mark. He was England's most dangerous player, constantly pulling defenders out of position and making something happen every time he touched the ball. Then came Italy, a much tougher challenge. Italy were well organized, physical, and very aggressive. It was a frustrating game for England, who couldn't find their rhythm. Max still showed flashes of brilliance. He skipped past a few defenders, he drew a few fouls, but every time he was going, he would just get hacked down. The Italians had clearly done their homework. They weren't gonna let Max play freely. He was subbed off around the 70th minute, and England ended up losing 4-2. With 1 point from 2 games, England were hanging on by a thread. Their last group stage match against the Czech Republic was a must-win game, and this is where Max delivered his biggest performance yet. Just 5 minutes into the match, Max picked up the ball just past the halfway line. He looked up, saw space, and drove forward. 1 defender, easy. 2 defenders, gone. He reached the edge of the box and curled a stunning shot past the keeper into the top corner. A moment of pure class. 10 minutes later, he was at it again, this time with a pass. From deep in his own half, he spotted a run from his teammate Gomez and threaded a line-breaking through ball that split the Czech defense in half. Gomez calmly slotted it home, and it was 2-0 to England. By halftime, England were up 4-0. But although the team won, the results from the other games meant that England didn't qualify for the knockout rounds. Their tournament was over, but Max had made history. At just 15 years, 4 months, and 26 days old, he became the youngest goal scorer in UEFA Under-17 Euro history. Even in a short tournament, he proved that he could compete against and dominate older, more experienced players from across all of Europe. His goal and assist against the Czechs were 2 of the most standout moments from the entire group stage. For England fans, it was bittersweet. Yes, the early exit hurt, but seeing Max play at that level, it gave them hope. It showed that the future was bright. Arsenal fans already believed in him, but now, so did England. So what's next for Max Dowman? At just 15 years old, he officially joined Arsenal's first team squad for their preseason tour of Asia. His first game came against AC Milan in Singapore. It was just a friendly, but when Max came on as a sub, you could feel how important the moment was. Arsenal didn't just bring him to watch from the bench. They trusted him to play alongside the big names. A few days later, he played again, this time against Newcastle. The game was tied at 2-2 with only 10 minutes left, and that's when Max made his mark. In the 83rd minute, he made a clever run into the box, drew a foul, and won a penalty. Odegaard then stepped up and scored to give Arsenal the win. The headlines after the match weren't about Odegaard or any of their usual stars. They were about Max Dowman, the 15-year-old who stole the show. Twitter was going crazy, talking about how calm he looked, how confident he played, how good he was at beating his man. If Max keeps growing, stays focused, and continues to impress in training, he will get more chances. If not though, the club won't rush him. Either way, the door is open. He's listed as an attacking midfielder, but during preseason, he showed that he can play in other positions too. He was used as a number 8, sometimes out wide, and he even drifted into deeper roles to start attacks. He's very smart with the ball. He's got great balance and always seems to pick the right path. There's a reason people compare him to Kaká. It's the long runs, the quick feet, and the fact that he's 6 foot tall even though he's so young. The ease in which he dribbles past defenders is not normal, and he's so clever in tight spaces and with his decision making in the final third. He seems to always find the open man with a well-timed pass. Now Max still can't sign a full professional contract until he turns 17, but that hasn't stopped Arsenal from planning for his future. His involvement in the Asia tour wasn't just for fun, it was a sign that he's being prepared for the big stage. Right now Arsenal have a very strong squad, especially in the positions that Max Dowman likes to play in, but that doesn't mean that opportunities won't arise. He can easily play in easier league matches and cup games. His flexibility means Arteta can use him in different ways when the team needs a spark. In fact, between him and Waneri, I do wonder why Arsenal felt the need to splash that much cash on Madueke. They already had 2 players who are more than good enough to be Saka's backup, and they would have cost nothing. Regardless though, if over the next few years Max keeps working hard, he can easily get a bench spot in the Carabao Cup or early league games, he can keep training with the first team regularly, and his official senior debut can happen sometime in the 2026 season. But it's clear that Arsenal are taking their time with him. They know they've got something special, and if Max can stay grounded, hungry, and healthy, this could be the start of something massive. Because remember, Hale End isn't just an academy, it's a part of Arsenal's identity. It's where Bukayo Saka first laced up his boots for the club. Club, where Emile Smith-Rowe found his rhythm, where Jack Wilshere, once hailed as the future of English football, began his journey. Hale End is the beating heart of Arsenal's long-standing belief: if you're good enough, you're old enough. And right now, Max Dowman might be one of the most exciting names to ever come out of Hale End. What makes Hale End special isn't just the training, it's the pathway. The transition from academy to first team is real at Arsenal. It's not just a marketing tool. Mikel Arteta has shown time and time again, when young players prove themselves, he doesn't hesitate to bring them in. And that's exactly the path that Max is on. He's even further ahead in his footballing journey than some of the great Hale End graduates. Saka made his senior debut at 17. Emile Smith-Rowe followed a similar timeline. Wilshere, well, he debuted at just 16 and was playing in the Champions League shortly after. Max Dowman, though, is already training with the first team at 15. He's already made headlines during preseason and breaking age records across England and Europe. And he's not just there to fill up space like a diversity hire, he's actually performing. What separates Max from even those names is that the buzz around him happened so early in his career. Saka and Smith-Rowe developed steadily. Max has been in the spotlight since he was 13. Every touch, every run, every goal from him, people have been watching for a while. And not just Arsenal fans. Scouts, pundits, and rival clubs have already been talking about him. Some were even calling him the best 15-year-old in the country. And it's easy to see why. He's got the vision, the technique, and the bravery to try things that most players wouldn't even think of. The difference now, though, is that Hale End has evolved. It's more structured. There's a clear plan in place. Not just for producing good players, but for helping them succeed long term. That's what makes this moment so important. Arsenal know what they have in Max Dowman. They've seen this story before. Now, being called a Wonderkid sounds exciting, but there's a level of pressure that not everybody can handle. One minute you're just playing football, the next, your name is trending on TikTok. Every performance gets replayed, every mistake gets dissected, and even praise can begin to feel like pressure. Because we've seen young stars burn out early. Freddie Adu, who was once called the next Pele, struggled when the spotlight got too bright. Then you have Jack Wilshere, who was Max's former under-18s coach. He lived it firsthand. Wilshere was brilliant as a teenager, but injuries and media pressure piled up. And then there's Ravel Morrison, a generational talent who never quite found his place in the game. All of them had talent. What they lacked was the right support system. And that's where Max is lucky. Arsenal are being careful. They're not rushing him into the Premier League. They're letting him grow quietly, at a pace that's sustainable. It also helps that Max isn't a prima donna. He isn't acting like a big timer. He doesn't have an ego like a player like Garnacho. He trains hard, he listens, and is just focused on getting better as a footballer. That humility will take him far. It shows he understands something that many young stars don't. Football isn't about going viral. It's about getting better every day. And that's why the people around him, from the fans to the coaches to the other players, all believe in him. He's not just a wonder kid with a big name. He's a grounded, hardworking teenager with a big dream. And if he stays that way, the sky really is the limit. Arteta has a plan for him and the whole Arsenal team. To see that plan, you gotta watch this video right here.